好，谢谢儿童们带我们敬拜。我们有一首歌要来唱，所以我们请大家依然站立好吗 ？Please remain standing。我们来唱一首歌，我们来唱一首感恩的歌。我们来开始我们今天的简单的一个敬拜。
的心降服在你面前，开我心眼，使我看见你感恩的心，领受生命活水，从你而来的温柔谦卑，何等恩典，你竟然在乎我。何等恩典，你宝血为我流，何等恩典，你珍贵荣耀为我冠冕，我的罪你充满赞美。降服在你面前，开我心眼，使我看见你感恩的心，领受生命活水，从你而来的温柔谦卑，何等恩典，你竟然在乎我。何等恩典，你宝血为我流，何等恩典，你尊贵荣耀为我冠冕，我的罪你充满赞美。所有枷锁，你挪去我所有重担，你挪去我所有伤悲，你的名配得所有颂赞，你挪去我所有枷锁。充满赞美，何等恩典，你以尊贵荣耀为我冠冕，我的罪必充满赞美。
弟兄姐妹大家来参加，我们大家请坐。我先跟大家简单做一个报告，就是今天的聚会是特别的，我们今天12点半才一起聚餐爱宴，下星期我们就恢复正常，下星期我们就11点钟我们就开始我们的主日敬拜。然后还有因为这是感恩节，大家知道美国感恩节是回家过年的，所以呢教堂也没有开门，所以下星期三我们的那个祷告会也暂停一次。先跟大家报告一下。还有另外一件事，就是很高兴我们有几位弟兄姐妹要在12月26号的这个圣诞节参加敬礼。那我们也邀请弟兄姐妹当中，如果有愿意相信耶稣的，那也请跟牧师报名。我们12月26日，我们会在Christie 上次那个教堂，因为我们这个教堂并没有这个敬词，我没办法做敬礼。我们会在140街的安息日会，我们在12月26号那天早上11点举行一个敬礼。那欢迎弟兄姐妹当中，如果有人愿意来报名参加的，请跟我联系。好，那我们今天很高兴，我知道我们当中有些人是来美国没好久嘛，哈。有时候还不知道说感恩节的意义是什么，为什么要吃火鸡啊？所以我请我们的 Pastor Sergio 来跟我们分享，那我来跟他做翻译，让我们明白感恩节真正的意义是什么。我们请 Sergio。OK。你看他帮我们忙上忙下的，管里又管外了。
Okay. Thank you. Hello.
大家好。
I was just testing his interpretation skills.
他在试试看我翻译的好不好。
Well, my name is, see if you can say this in Spanish. My name is Jorge Sergio Chavez Rodriguez.
他的名字，刚刚那个名字是一连串的西班牙文，他是一个墨西哥裔的。
In Mexico, we have two last names, our fathers and our mothers.
在墨西哥呢，他们的姓是有母姓又有父姓，两个姓名的。
So my father's is Chavez, my mom's is Rodriguez.
所以 Chavez 是他父亲的名字，那个另外是他母亲的名字。
So Pastor Ethan asked me to talk about Thanksgiving with you guys today.
伊恩牧师要我跟大家分享感恩节的意义。
But like you, my family, we're immigrants from Mexico.
就像你们大家，我也是从墨西哥移民来的。
And we don't celebrate Thanksgiving either.
我们也不过感恩节的。
But all we knew is that it was a celebration that involved food and family. And for our culture, we don't need an excuse to have food and family.
我对感恩节所知的也只是关于食物而已。而从我过来的文化，我们墨西哥文化，吃是没有问题的，吃我们非常欢迎的。
But eventually we did find out what the meaning of Thanksgiving was the longer that we lived here.
但是慢慢的我们也明白了感恩节的意义是什么。
So there's me, my sister in blue, and my brother at the end.
它上面图片的是他的姐姐跟他的哥哥。
And our cousin in the middle.
他的cousin, 堂兄弟。
So Thanksgiving, it comes from it's from 1961 or 1621 when the Europeans came and settled here in America.
感恩节的由来是在1621年的时候，欧洲的移民到新英格兰美国才开始的。
And they met up with a Wampanoag Native American tribe.
他们遇到了一个叫做 Wampanoag 这个印第安族的这个土人。
And they shared an autumn harvest feast that is acknowledged today as the very first Thanksgiving.
他们在这个就是第一个感恩节的那个节期呢，他们一起收割，然后一起享受那收割以后的这个feast 那个成果。
Yeah, so when the Europeans came, they were met by this tribe, especially a gentleman named Squanto, one of the Native Americans, who helped them learn to live here and farm and hunt and survive here in America.
所以说，他们来到美国之后呢，有一族的这个印第安人，特别这个 Squanto 是吧？这个印第安人就教导了这些欧洲的白人怎么样来种植，怎么样来生存。
And these tribes and these Europeans, they became friends and they got to know each other more and more. And as they hung out more, Governor William Bradford declared there to be a feast.
就是因为他们彼此互相开始认识之后呢，他们彼此有交流，然后呢彼此就开始很多的这个来往。最后那个州长 Bradford 他就下令说，我们要来用一个感恩节的纪念来纪念这彼此之间的交流。
Yeah, because there was a big drought, and finally it rained, and finally they could grow crops, and so they were celebrating this harvest feast.
原来原因是那边有一个干旱。然后在干旱过之后呢，他们终于能够去种植，然后能够有收成，所以他们就特别来庆祝这个收成。
So the chief of that tribe, or like the elder, his name was Chief Massasoit.
那个族的那个酋长叫做
Massasoit. Chief M.Okay,
酋长。
And so the first time that they got together, it wasn't like today. They ate what was around. So most likely they ate deer, they ate birds that they could hunt there, and they ate whatever was available in Massachusetts.
所以他们在当时的麻瑟诸塞州呢，不像我们今天在庆祝感恩节的一般的方式，他们就是打猎。然后呢，一些家禽，然后就这样一个圆桌这样子，把他们所打猎的来一起共享。
And so these kind of Thanksgiving feasts became very popular in America. They would have them over and over again, but it wasn't Thanksgiving yet. It was just a thankful feast that they had crops.
就是他们这样一种的彼此一起打猎，一起庆祝这个收获呢，就成为一种习俗，成为一种传统。但是他们还没有形成感恩节的这个惯例，只是每一年都会这样在做。
And so they began to have these feasts after a drought, after illness, after war. The presidents would start to call feasts. George Washington was the first president of America who declared Thanksgiving a celebration of their independence.
就这样经过了几次的，不管是战争啊，或者是这种饥荒啊，或等等之后，所以呢，美国的第一任总统乔治华盛顿就下令，就建立了这个感恩节这样一个庆祝的日子。
And it wasn't until 1863 that President Abraham Lincoln declared the last Thursday of November to be Thanksgiving. And this is what he said: for Americans to ask God to commend to his tender care all those who have become widows, orphans, mourners, and sufferers in the lamentable civil strife, and to heal the wounds of the nation.
一直到的林肯总统，就是解放黑奴那个林肯总统的时候呢，他才正式的定了这个日期作为感恩节的日期。然后他特别还讲说，是我们人们要去跟从上帝的教导来做这样的事情，彼此的帮助的事。然后呢，要特别帮助那些成为寡妇的那些这些孤儿。然后那些受苦的人，我们要特别在这感恩节的季节来去帮助他们。
Now today, in most American homes, Thanksgiving we don't even see it as religious in any way.
所以，就如我刚刚有跟几位弟兄姐妹讲的，我们现在美国人对感恩节不把它当做一个宗教的节日。
Instead, it mostly centers around cooking and family and celebration and party.
就一般就是围绕在食物，然后家里的团圆，然后庆祝 party 这样子一种的气氛。
But originally, it had those kind of thanking God for what He's given us.
但是如果刚刚知道我们刚刚所讲的历史，其实是从对神的感恩而来的一个节日。
Now there is some controversy around the holiday, though, here in the U.S.
在美国对感恩节是有一些争议的。
Although the first settlers, the first pilgrims, did have a good relationship with the Native American tribe at that time.
虽然说刚开始的时候，一起出美国的这些土著呢，印第安人跟欧洲的移民是有很好的关系。
Eventually, that would go not well. The settlers began to kill and enslave and take away the native people's lands.
但是我们大家都知道，美国的历史后面这些土著们呢，跟美国白人的关系就急剧的恶化了，土地被占领，然后呢被当作这个奴隶来当代，所以这个关系就变得不好了。
And most of the history that's taught in America leaves some of these details out of the story.
当我们美国人在谈论感恩节的历史的时候，就把这些东西都淡化了，而且没有去提及到这个彼此之间相处不愉快的事情。
Even when I first learned about it, I didn't know about everything that had happened.
就当我当初开始在学习美国感恩节的历史的时候，我也并不知道有这些内情、这些故事。
But as time went on, and as I had friends who were Native American, I would learn more in school, and I would learn more and more of what happened.
那当Pastor Sergio 他自己有一些印第安人的同学跟朋友的时候呢，他就听到一些我们平常不知道的故事。
And so there's actually an alternative holiday to Thanksgiving started in 1970 called the Day of Mourning, put on by Native Americans, remembering of that time.
所以其实在我们感恩节，美国白人庆祝感恩节有一个替代的美国土著的，在1970年开始，他们有一个叫做 Day of Mourning， 就是那种哀伤的日子。当我们庆祝感恩，他们在纪念哀伤的日子。
Yeah, they want to raise awareness to spread the real story of everything that happened.
他们就到处去跟人家讲真正发生的故事是什么。
And like most Americans, in my experience, is that most Americans don't really know history of much of the celebrations that they celebrate in America.
所以据我自己所知道，大部分的美国人并不清楚为什么我们在庆祝感恩节，以及它里面所包括的含义在哪里。
Because there's such a consumer society, so it's marketed and buy more and buy gifts and buy, so it kind of confuses what the holiday is actually about.
所以当我们在这个现代的社会充满了这些以这个消费者市场为导向的这种一种庆祝的方式的时候，我们真的不知道感恩节的意义是什么。
But people like to celebrate. They just don't necessarily always know what the history is of what they're celebrating.
当我们有假日的时候，我们就想要去庆祝，想要去欢庆，但并不知道里面这意义是什么。
And we find this with like Christmas, Easter, St. Patrick's Day, Halloween, all holidays that have some religious history attached to them, but most of them don't, or many don't even know all the history that's attached to it.
就像其他的宗教的节日，像圣诞节、复活节、Halloween 这些节日呢，当我们开始人们在庆祝的时候，都已经忘记了、淡忘了当初起初那些宗教的含义。
And it's just kind of the way the culture is a little bit in some cases.
当然不可避免，这就是美国文化的一个产生的一个必然的现象。
Now, although Thanksgiving is not a biblical holiday, it does easily tie to biblical ideas.
虽然美国的感恩节并不是圣经里面讲的假期，但是呢，它是可以跟我们圣经的教导连接在一起的。
There is a lot of feasts in the Bible. They celebrate a lot, giving thanks to God.
上帝在圣经里面有很多的节期是要我们一起来庆祝的。
There's 7 feasts in the Bible that we know of.
有7个节期，圣经我们大家知道，圣经有7大节期。
There's Passover,
那个逾越节，
unleavened bread feast,
无酵节，
first fruits,
初熟节，
Feast of Weeks.
这个收获节。
And the Feast of Weeks would be closest to Thanksgiving, really.
收获节就跟我们感恩节是蛮相近的。
It's the people were expected to bring the first harvest of the grain to the Lord, including 2 leavened loaves of bread.
神教导我们要把我们出熟的果子带到神的殿前，有点像我们今天把我们所收成的带到神面前一样。
The Feast of Trumpets.
还有那个吹角节，
The Day of Atonement.
还有那个救赎日，
And the Feast of Tabernacles.
圣殿节。
And that is the feast celebrates God's provision and protection for the people of Israel during their 40 years wandering in the desert.
还有他们也庆祝当以色列百姓在旷野40年的时候，庆祝神的救赎，神的帮助。
So although Thanksgiving might be a national holiday and has history in America, the idea of being grateful to God is something as Christians we should always celebrate.
所以虽然说我们今天庆祝感恩节是一个法定的国定的假日，但是对基督徒来讲，这跟我们跟上帝献上感恩是相同的意义的。
So my wife, Lauren,
我的太太 Lauren，
she's half Mexican and half Danish.
她是一半是这个墨西哥，一半是丹麦人。
And so her family knew a little bit more about Thanksgiving than my family.
所以她的家庭其实比奢求牧师更明白感恩节的意义。
And although Thanksgiving wasn't as big as it is now, over time it has become the thing in which we think about Thanksgiving.
虽然说我们随着时间的增加，我们其实会更多的想要去明白跟了解到感恩节的意义。
There's a lot of food. All of her family from the surrounding areas come to the house.
当我们家里面充满了这些美好的食物，亲人朋友都来到我们家中的时候，
We have a big meal. Sometimes it's more than 20 people.
我们有时候家里面有超过20个人一起在用餐。
And even though much of her family is not religious,
虽然我们有许多家庭的成员都还不是这敬奉宗教的。
They do spend the time to say what they're thankful for that year. And we go around the table and everyone says something of what they're thankful for.
即便如此，虽然不是拜神的，但他们也会在 round table 的时候呢，大家围在一起吃饭的时候，说出一些感恩的话。
Yeah, this is my mother-in-law.
这是他的这个岳母。
Over there. So you can see very different culture from mine.
他是跟我们是不太一样的。Danish,
yeah, Danish descent. And so Thanksgiving, I think, I like 1 Thessalonians 5:12 through 8, where there's give instructions to Christians as we hear this.
当我讲到感恩节的时候，我想读这个帖撒罗尼迦前书第5章。
I'll read in English and then you read it in
Chinese.
5:12 through 18.
OK， 帖撒罗尼迦前书第5章的12节。
Should I read?
Yep.
We ask you, brothers, to respect those who labor among you and who are over you in the Lord and admonishes you, and to esteem them very highly in love because of their work.
弟兄们，我们劝你们要敬重那在你们中间劳苦的人，就是在主里面治理你们、劝诫你们的，又因他们所做的工，用爱心格外尊重他们。
Be at peace among yourselves, and we urge you, brothers, admonish the idle, encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, be patient with them all.
你们要彼此和睦，我要劝弟兄们要警戒不守规矩的人，勉励灰心的人，扶助软弱的人，也要向众人忍耐。
See that no one repays anyone evil for evil, but always seek to do good to one another and to everyone.
你们要谨慎，无论是谁都不可以以恶报恶，或是彼此相待，或是待众人，常要追求良善。
And rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you.
要常常喜乐，不住的祷告，凡事谢恩，因为这是神在基督耶稣里向你们所定的旨意。
So although I didn't understand Thanksgiving in the beginning, what I do understand is always being grateful to God for all the things that He's blessed all of us with.
虽然我一开始也并不明白感恩节的意义，但是我们要彼此勉励，我们总一定要存着一个心，对凡是神给我们东西，我们都要献上感恩。
And with that, I want to thank you for inviting my family to come eat with you for the good food. Thank you so much.
说到这，我就要感谢大家，谢谢带邀请我们全家来这边吃这个这么美好的食物。
Shall we pray?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
好 ，Thank you， 谢谢社区牧师。
Pray in English?
You want to finish with prayer or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll pray.
Okay.
All right.
我们一起来祷告好吗？
God in heaven,
天上的父，
thank you so much for all the blessing you've continued to pour upon us.
谢谢你那无止境从天上给我们的祝福，
May we take nothing for granted.
让我们凡事不把它当作理所当然的。
The roof over our head, the clothes on our backs, the food on our tables, the breath in our lungs.
不管是我们所呼吸的气息，我们身上穿的衣服，我们在桌上的饮食，
We know all of these things come from you.
我们知道这些都是从你而来的。
And please give us eyes to see and ears to hear, as there may be others who don't even have these things.
开我们的眼睛，开我们的耳朵，让我们看到我们周围还有许多人没有办法跟我们一样享受这些上帝的祝福。
May you soften our hearts so we can bless others who may need it.
你温暖，你开我们的心，让我们能够看到这些人的需要。
Thank you for our friends and our family and our loved ones that you've blessed us with here today.
我们为了主，你赐给我们今天我们在座的，不管是亲人、兄弟姐妹，我们为这些朋友，我们感谢神。
Thank you to all the volunteers who helped prepare food and set up tables and do everything so we could celebrate today.
我们也为同工的辛劳，他们这些准备的饭食，这些所有的预备，我们为他们献上感恩。
And most importantly, thank you for sending your son, Jesus Christ, to die on a cross to offer us salvation through grace.
最重要就是我们谢谢我们的主耶稣，你赐给我们主耶稣，为我们死在十字架上，给我们这个救赎的恩典，我们为此献上感恩。
In your beautiful and holy name, we all said,
奉主你那圣洁的名祷告 Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
谢谢。OK 我们今天的崇拜就在此结束，很简单。我们接下来要有一个交易的活动，就是白象礼物的交换。Pastor Sergio, if you family wish to stay, we prepared three gifts for you guys to do the exchange. Oh. Okay, you have 5. Okay, you have 5 gifts. Okay, 我把时间交给我们的同工，来，我们请 Angela 来，我们给 Angela 一个大大的掌声，好吗 ？Angela 是我们今天的主持人啊，她从下面的时间大家听她的指示哈。
Hello， 我是 Angela， 然后接下来的时间我们就要一起，无论是大朋友、小朋友。还是老朋友，我们一起来玩游戏好不好？在我们玩游戏